Okay, hi everyone, good evening. This is Yukti and Dharma here with IDP Education India. My name is Dharma. I head US Client Relations for IDP Education. And just a little quick background on myself. I've been with the company almost 4.5 years. And I myself studied my bachelor's, my master's, and a graduate certificate from the US, specifically from the Northeast region. And I can tell you more about that later if you are interested. And I will hand it over to Yukti for a quick intro also.
Hi everyone, I'm Yukti from IDP Education. I worked with IDP from past 8 years. Prior to that, I worked with US India Education Foundation doing counseling for US bound students. So here we are presenting or giving a presentation on US student visa process and post-study work opportunities. To give you an overview, we would definitely talk about IDP, US higher education, life and studying in the US, visa process, post-study work opportunities, and IDP services.
Okay. Now, talking about IDP, for those of you who may not be familiar, IDP Education is a global leader in international education services, and we have offices across the world, in fact. We have been in the industry close to 50 years now, and we have all the best practices at hand in terms of helping you realize your dreams of studying abroad, and not only in the US, but also in a number of other countries. We are certified by AIRC. So that is the American International Recruitment Council. What that means is that we have met certain standards of counseling in order to help you achieve your study abroad dreams. We are also a very proud co-owner of IELTS, which is the world's leading English language proficiency test, which many of you would be familiar with, as that's a requirement for studying abroad. And in IDP India currently, we have over 100 US staff across 31 branches in India who have been trained by us as well as directly by our university partners. So when we talk about the US and why to study in the US, many of you who would be attending this session today probably might be at different stages of the application process, or maybe you're completely new and still exploring about which country you want to go to. But when we talk about studying in the US and what are the main reasons students or parents want to pursue options there, some of the top reasons are commitment to excellence and a brilliant scope of research. So what that means is if you look at the higher education system in the US compared to other countries, there's a very high standard of research and development of both undergraduate and postgraduate students being able to do research, helping faculty on projects, and just being held to a very high standard as far as academically things are concerned. There's also academic flexibility, which means that especially at the undergraduate level, you could major in one course and then minor in another, or you could do a double major, or maybe you start off your course in one area and then find that you might be better at something else, so you have the option to change over also. Financial support is available in different forms. It could be in the term of scholarships, perhaps, merit-based scholarships. It could be graduate assistantships or bursaries. It really depends on the course you're going for, what level and which university you are applying to. Lucrative job opportunities obviously is something that does drive people to the US, especially those who would be in STEM or science, technology, engineering, and mathematic related fields. Those job opportunities are definitely available, and especially for those who really kind of take ownership of their education and do the correct networking while they are studying in order to get the correct internships and really, meet people in companies where they might like to work later. Related to academic flexibility, there's a huge variety of courses one can choose from, and very different kind of courses that people can engage in the US. Innovation is really at the core of the education system. So when we talk about a mixture of the courses, the flexibility, the innovation available, you'll definitely find that you would not be limited to one stream. So even if you might be an engineering major, for example, it doesn't mean that you will only take engineering courses. You might also take some liberal arts education courses also to make sure that you get a good grounded education. Hands-on training is definitely something that's a core aspect. It's not just going to be lecture-based and you have to memorize everything. You really will apply what you learn. And then definitely a value addition is the cultural diversity that you would find in the US.
Well, coming to the intakes, there are 2 intakes, fall, which is August, September, and spring, which is Jan and Feb. It is important for you to apply at least 6 to 7 months in advance. The requirement or the application process actually includes applying to the universities, taking the standardized tests, preparing the application, and of course, sending out the application to the US university. Degree offered, they usually undergraduate degree, which is of 4-year duration, graduate degree, which is of 2-year duration. Undergraduate degree is also called, of course, bachelor's degree, and graduate degree is called master's degree as well. Coming to the application, it looks like a jigsaw puzzle. It is not. The US application process is quite straightforward. You complete the application form. The IDP counselors, if you interact with them, they will help you complete the application form. There is SOP, which is statement of purpose, or essays, which you have to write it on your own. We would really say do not copy a statement of purpose. A statement of purpose is something, why this university, why this course, why is it that you want to do a particular course, and what is your long-term and short-term goals. Transcripts, which is your previous academic record, your school degree, your schooling, or your bachelor degree, which has to be sealed and attested and sent to US university. Letters of recommendation, which has to be done by your recommenders, and usually now it is online. There are very few universities which have letter of recommendation that has to be sent as a hard copy. CV or resume, which is 1-pager. And test scores, they are the standardized test scores, GRE, GMAT, IELTS, or TOEFL. I would say for all US university, IELTS or TOEFL are a mandatory requirement. GRE or GMAT could vary from US university to university. SAT is for undergraduate, whereas GRE, GMAT is for graduate. Coming to life and studying in the US, which Dharma would take up.
Thank you, Yukti. So when we talk about life and studying in the US, I just wanted to highlight a few things to you, which are quite different from maybe what you might be used to studying in India. One thing overall, when you look at this slide, what you will come across is that you will be responsible for your own self. And that may sound a little strange, but what that means is that managing your time in the classroom, your syllabus, making sure you are taking the efforts to not only get to know your classmates, but also your faculty members, your teammates, and really not sitting back quietly, no matter the size of the class you might be in, whether it's 20 students or 100 students, you will be encouraged to ask questions, ask the how, what, why, when, and really develop your critical sense of thinking. And along with that, with the hands-on teaching methods that are mostly used in the US, it will really help you present your ideas very clearly. It will definitely build your confidence. And this will help you when you are out looking for jobs in the professional field also, because they will also look at your soft skills. So when we talk about networking, for example, it's not only clubs and organizations you might get involved in outside of the classroom. It might be internships that you do. It might be other activities you get involved in on or off campus. So do also focus on all of those aspects along with whatever you might be doing in the classroom academically.
Well, coming to the US visa process, which is the core of our discussion today, I think these are some boxes which are the important boxes that we would wanted to mention about US visa. You would be applying for F1 student visa, which is a non-immigrant visa. Once you have the I-20, you would start thinking about it or start applying for the visa process. The first box which says logical, I think the US visa process is logical as well as very straightforward. It is a simple process, not as complicated as the other destinations are. Remember 120 and 30. What does that mean? 120 means that you would be applying for a US student visa 120 days or within 120 days of the course commencement date. 30 days means that you would be entering or you're allowed to enter the US not before 30 days. Everything is online. You would submit the application forms online. You would take the visa appointment online. And in fact, you can pay the visa fee online as well. There is a personal interview, which could be an overwhelming task for some students, but it is not. Personal interview could only be of 3 minutes or max to max, probably 4 minutes. And they can ask you all questions which can contain why this university, why this course, what are your long-term goals, what are your short-term goals, and basically they wanted to know what is your intention of going to US and study forward. Instant visa decision, they're going to let you know there and then whether your visa is accepted or whether your visa is granted or whether your visa is rejected. Coming to our next slide, with our experience, we had been counseling students, or I would say we had been counseling students pan-India. And with our experience, we feel that applying for a US visa in the month of May, June for a fall intake, which is August and September, it's an ideal time. As you go closer to the course commencement date, which is July and August, the chances of visa rejection is quite high. So one of the key factor of visa success rate is to apply early, and hence plan early for in case you're looking at a US university right now as well. For spring intake, that means which is Jan and Feb, you should apply for visa probably prior October, November, or December. December, as you're all aware, the holidays starts in, and from 25th December, usually the embassies stop working. It is important that you apply for your student visa for spring intake in the month of October and November. The key of visa success is to apply as early as possible. But remember, it's 120 days, not prior 120 days, but within 120 days. Coming to our next slide. The US visa process, very simple. Once you receive the I-20, I-20 is an acceptance from a US university. I-20, remember, is not a car, but I-20 is an acceptance from a US university. You pay the service fee, which is $200. There is a website for it. You can contact any of the IDP counselors. They can tell you which website that you have to pay this visa fee, which is $200. Then you go on to a website, which is US Travel Doc, and fill up DS-160 form. Remember, this form is very, very important. Whatever information that you populate in this form would be seen by the visa officer probably during the interview. It could be post-interview, or it could be prior to your interview as well. Hence, it is very important to fill the DS-160 form having your presence. Nobody should fill the DS-160 form in place of you. In the third website, you would pay the application fee, which is $160. Again, the fee could be online. You can go on to any of the Access Bank and pay the fee. You would schedule 2 interviews. One is OFC interview, and the other is the interview with the embassy. The OFC interview would have biometric and would take your picture. The other interview would be an interview with the visa officer. You would collate all the documents. IDP has a checklist which has all documents listed which are required for your visa interview. You would attend the visa interview and the visa decision would be given on the same day. US visa checklist. What are the documents that you need to carry during your interview? A valid passport, which is at least 6 months and beyond validity. A printed copy of the appointment letter which states the date and time of your visa interview. DS-160 confirmation page, which is just a 1-pager. Once you complete the form, they'll give you a DS-160 confirmation page. Original and signed I-20. Keep that in mind whenever you're going for a visa interview or whenever you've decided that you wanted to go in for that particular university. Check the I-20. Check your name on the I-20, the course commencement date, the tuition fee, because remember, it is all typed by someone, which is the DSO in the US university. Any mistake on the I-20, you should send it back to the university to get a new I-20. Hence, whenever you're going in for a visa interview, please check, or whenever you receive the I-20, please check current and all your old passport, proof of payment of service fee, original financial documents, evidence of your finances, which we'll discuss it in next slide, academic documents, original degree, diploma, relevant test scores, your IELTS, your GRE, your GMAT, and employment-related documents if you have any. But these are all the documents which you should carry along with you during your visa interview. It is considered that the visa interview or the US consulate does not ask for documents, but they might ask in case you're not able to answer a question correctly. Hence, do carry all these documents. It is very important. Looking at the financial documents, keep in mind that US universities, or in fact the visa officer, is looking at the fact that you're able to fund your education for the entire years of study there. Now, if you're going in for a master's degree, the degree would only be for 2 years. If you're going for an undergraduate, that is bachelor's degree, the degree would be for 4 years. Hence, they would want to know that you would not be dependent on the US funds, but you have enough funds to complete the entire duration of the course. Students should have adequate funds to furnish for the entire duration of the program, in which the student first year funds have to be liquid assets. You should also have income tax return, affidavit of support, whoever is sponsoring you, and of course, income tax return of the person who is sponsoring you. The first year funds could be a sanctioned educational loan from a recognized bank. In fact, I've heard a lot of time from the student that loan is something which I should not show it. But in fact, that's not correct. Loan is something that the visa officers don't mind. And if you're taking it from any of the nationalized bank, that works absolutely fine. Genuine amount in the savings account, or from a blood relative, or from your parents, self, brother, grandparents, would also work. Fixed deposits should be matured before the commencement of the program. Subsequent funds for 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years could be mutual funds, shares, and bonds, fixed deposit, property, land, gold evaluation, LIC surrender value. LIC surrender value could also be treated as the first year asset or a liquid asset. Provident fund could be case by case, and agriculture or funds from agriculture. Please note that an annual income is not an acceptable financial document. However, you can talk about it if asked. There are usually 5 questions asked by the visa officer. The first, why this university, why this course, who's sponsoring your education, what does your sponsor do, and what is it that you want to do once you're through with your education in the US. You can talk to any of our IDP counselor and we can help you prepare well for all these questions, but please make sure you're choosing the right university for the right course. Coming to our last slide, which is on post-study work opportunities. Now, US do offer post-study work opportunities, and in fact, it do offer opportunities or internships while you're studying in the US. So one of the post-study opportunity, what it offers is optional practical training. It's a temporary employment that is directly related to F1 students' major area. Eligible student can apply up to 12 months of OPT authorization before completing their academic studies or after completing their academic study. So if you're studying 4-year degree or a 2-year degree of program, you're allowed for 12-month OPT. And if you are a STEM major, probably an undergrad or a graduate, you're allowed to stay there for 24 months more. Overall, you're allowed to stay there in the US for 3 years and work full-time. So after you complete the course, the US university would help you or do have on-campus job fairs, which would help you find a job. And then you can stay on for 3 years and work full-time there. Lastly, how will IDP help you, which Dharma will take up?
Thank you, Yukti. Now, some of the ways in which IDP could help you in your journey to studying in the US. So one is definitely looking at your profile, your background, and helping you narrow down options of institutions where you might like to apply, along with the courses and areas of study. Secondly, it would go through what admissions tests, if any, would be required. So typically for an undergraduate student, an SAT might be required. And for postgraduate students or graduate students, again, depending on the course, maybe the GMAT if you're going for an MBA, or GRE typically for engineering and other majors. So we can, the council will work with you to help you manage your time and your whole process from end to end. As typically we say that anywhere from 6 to 8 months, you would need to prepare in advance of the intake starting in which you plan to go. Document preparation. So as Yukti mentioned earlier, there are these different components of the application that all students have to do for the US. And all of these pieces, like the statement of purpose, which is why do you want to apply for that course? Why that university? Basically, what is your story? Writing that, the letters of recommendation, and your resume, all are things that, our counselors and our editing team can help you with. The other is then, once you have decided and made a short list of the universities where you would like to apply, making sure your completed applications are sent either online or, via courier to the correct people in the respective admission departments. So sometimes, say you have completed everything, but a test score might be pending. Typically, a US university will not give you a decision until they receive everything. That's why completed applications are very necessary. Now, once that is done and you get the I-20, which is something that Yukti just talked about, it's how to prepare your visa documents. And along with that, helping you with mock interview sessions. So making sure you are comfortable in the environment of what a US, visa officer might ask you when you go for your visa interview. And visa interviews are required of everybody who is applying for an F1 student visa. And hence we will go through that with you multiple times just to ensure, that you're comfortable and you understand very well why you have applied for the university and the course and why you have selected the university and course for which I-20 you are taking to the visa officer. And then finally, once you get your visa, hopefully, then IDP offices across India hold pre-departure sessions. So that would be an opportunity for you to not only get information on the last minute things you should be doing before you move to the US to study, you'll also have the opportunity to meet other students from that city who are moving to the US. And, if luck might have it, maybe one of them might be in the same university as you or close by. So you can start your networking and making friends from there. So in a nutshell, that is a summary of the services that IDP can help you with. There's obviously more to that. And, we can definitely tell you more about that, as we move along. And these are just some information details which we're going to leave up here for you in terms of how you can reach us beyond this webinar today. And I think what we're going to do now is move to some questions that we see are coming up on the chat. What we will try and do is address some of the more general questions which might be beneficial for everyone. And in case any of you have any very specific or personal questions, then what we can do is you can connect with us through the digits that are here on the screen, and we can help you with those on a very specific basis. Okay. So Yukti, maybe I'll just read out one of the questions and then we can answer. So somebody was asking, if my sister is already in the US, will it affect my chances of getting a student visa?
Hi. Well, It might not, because you need to apply for a university which is best for your particular course. So it is not that you choose a university basis where your sister is staying and working. It has to be what are your reasons of studying in the university. And if you're able to justify that to the visa officer, we are certain that you would be able to get the visa. Have the right scores, have the right university. There should be no problem for you to get your visas.
Okay, and some of the other questions, I see a lot of questions asking, what are some of the main reasons for visa rejections? That's a very good and popular question. I can start off and Yukti can add on. What we have seen, some of the main reasons why someone might get a rejection for a student visa. One is if they cannot clearly tell the visa officer, for example, why they want to go to the US and why they are applying to the course they have applied for. So it might seem like a simple question, but sometimes students get stuck up because they may get nervous in front of the visa officer.
Well, I think correctly said by Dharma, in case you're not able to justify the answer of why this university, why this course, or you're not able to justify the fact that you will be able to fund your education for the entire duration of the program, there is a possibility of rejection. But in case you're getting nervous, you can always tell that to the visa officer. And I have seen examples wherein if you're getting nervous, you tell that to the visa officer, they ask you that you can come after 5 minutes. So it's important that you are confident when you're answering questions, but don't be overconfident and don't be underconfident.
Right. And a related question I see is that, is there a cap on the number of times I could reapply, for example? And there is no stated cap whatsoever. You are free to reapply multiple times for your visa. But one thing that is always said by the embassy is then you should have some different information you are presenting when you go for your second visa interview. So if you're taking all the same information or giving the same answers, then that's something you should really think about, that why was I rejected the first time and what information am I presenting differently this time that will work in my favor.
Yeah. I could see some questions being asked that how much funds do I have to show for applying for a US visa or during the visa interview. I think the important aspect is you have to show the first year in liquid assets, more than first year in liquid assets. In case your tuition fee is 20,000 or 25,000 US dollars per annum, make sure you show about 30,000 US dollars per annum. And the second year could be as much. It could be property. It could be immovable assets as well. That would work.
Okay, so somebody's asking about the 3-year stay that we mentioned, which is the OPT STEM extension. So is it 24 months or 3 years? And there's a little confusion there. So basically what it is OPT, as mentioned, is optional practical training. If you are a STEM major or you followed a STEM course, aside from the 12-month OPT, which you would be eligible for, no matter your course of study or whether you are undergraduate or graduate, as a STEM student, you are eligible for an additional 24 months of working in the US, which means overall you would be eligible for work experience of 3 years in the US once you complete your degree.
Okay, I could see a question that is loan considered as a liquid asset? Yes, the loan is considered as a liquid asset. Make sure it is from a nationalized bank or it is from the bank which is provided to you. So it is definitely considered as a liquid asset, but it is advisable that you also have savings along with the loan that you will be going in for. Well, the other question, what is the best time to apply for OPT? OPT is usually after you complete your course in the US. It's basically the US University International Admission Office would help you that what is the best time to apply before 3 months of your completion of your course. They will help you and assist you in what are the forms that you need to fill for an OPT. I could see that is land and property a liquid asset? No, land and property is not a liquid asset. It is immovable asset. Shares, bonds, gold is not a liquid asset. Well, the more questions which are coming in is, there's one question that my brother had H1B. Parents had a visitor visa. I stayed in Australia for 15 months. What are your chances if you're going there to study and you know a particular course, or you had applied for that course, taking the standardized test, there are no chances that you would get a rejection on your visa. Prepare well for your visa, have the right intentions of going there and studying. Hence, there should be no issue in getting a visa. Can a STEM extension be rejected? Not exactly. You need to have a job related to the course that you had already applied for. So STEM extension is rarely rejected. Mostly it is accepted, and the US institutions really help you to get an acceptance. Are all STEM courses allowed for 1 year OPT plus 2 year extension? Is MEng course, Juhi, right? MEng course is also allowed because it is STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, mathematics. In case you have a doubt, you can always speak to the university representatives. They can tell you better. But MEng, we are certain, is definitely a STEM designated course.
Okay, we have another question. How often do PhD applicants get rejected as compared to MS applicants during the visa interview? In our experience, what we have seen is PhD applicants get rejected very less, because you have to put in a lot of effort and be really sure that in order to pursue your PhD at such a high level, you would also need a faculty sponsor for your research and your PhD. Mm-hmm. So typically in the cases we have seen, PhD students, because of the amount of work experience or background or academic excellence they typically come with, there are very few rejections for PhD students in our experience.
Okay, we can see a question which states, does having a US citizen shown as a sponsor for I-20 affect the visa application? Again, this is a question which might or might not. Our suggestion is basically to take the sponsor from India itself and apply for a visa interview. Please make sure that you have the right reasons of going. So if you have funds in India, it would also show that you have ties in India. So make sure that you take a sponsor from India. There is one more question that I've been working for 4 years as a software engineering. As per my financing, I have education loan for the entire course and personal savings, which will be sufficient for my living expenses. Considering all these, do I still need a sponsor? Well, depending on the cost of the course, I think most of the loans in India are provided for 20 lakhs. If you have some more fundings, or if you could show immovable assets as your second and third year as well, it would work. But we will have to see your I-20 before we say that how much loan should be taken and how much personal fundings that you can show.
There's one question here asking, what is the right time to apply for internship? I would say it varies. It depends on your course and whether an internship is required as part of your course, or it's something that you would do, extra outside of your course work. Typically, students would start something like this in their second semester, not maybe immediately in the first semester of study, just so you can give yourself time to kind of adjust to the culture and, make sure you're able to balance your academics and your non-academic life there. So I would say really that aside from that, there's not a right or a wrong time. We would highly encourage you to do internships, and they can be paid or unpaid internships. And typically, if you are staying there over the summer, over holidays, you can then work full-time during those periods also. So really, it's all about the networking you would do, how you would best utilize, say, career fairs or the career offices in the universities, so you can maximize the exposure you are getting while you're there in the US.
Okay, the other question that we have, if FD or fixed deposit must be matured while starting the course. Advisable, yes. Fixed deposit as is are not considered as a liquid asset, but if they are matured, that's absolutely fine. You can show them as a liquid asset. Can we change our university after booking a visa interview before actually attending to the interview? Yes, we can change the university, but you need to have both the I-20s during the visa interview, and of course, justify the fact that why have you changed the university. There has been instances that you had applied for a visa for some other university, but actually the dream university acceptance had come late for you. So it's absolutely fine, you can do, but please take both the I-20s with you when you're going for a visa interview. Well, we have more questions pouring in. Apart from loan, okay, how long should the amount be in bank so that it can be shown during the visa interview? Very good question that has been asked. In fact, we wanted to mention, when you start planning of studying into a US university, please make sure that you have good amount in your bank account as savings. There has been instances when the US visa officer has actually called up the banks or seen your statements. So please make sure at least more than 6 months is the amount that you should maintain in the bank account. It is also said that you would not have 20, 30 or 40 lakhs, that is 1 year annual tuition in your bank account, but it could be a combination of 10 lakh savings plus 10 lakhs or 20 lakhs that you're taking for a loan. So that's also fine, but it should not be that you recently deposited the amount just before going in for a visa interview. So 6 months in advance is advisable. Well, it says the other question that we have, my program is for 1 year. Will I be allowed for OPT? It's a STEM course. Yes, you will be allowed for OPT. Under F1 student visa, you are eligible for OPT. So if your program has gives you an I-20 and you're applying for F1 student visa, you will be allowed for an OPT as well as STEM extension. Well, the other question that we have, does Provident Fund amount can be shown as a liquid assets? Yes, but usually in the Provident Fund, when you take out the surrender value, that is considered as a liquid asset that you can go and probably show it to the visa officer, keep it with you, but that would be considered as a liquid asset if it's a surrender value. What if I avail CPT, which is curriculum practical training? Would 3-year rules still apply to me? Now, the CPT duration could be 6 months. Please don't extend the CPT to more than 1 year. In case you extend the CPT duration more than 1 year, your OPT would definitely be deducted. Okay. The other question we have, my passport will expire when I will be in US on F1 student visa. What do I have to do? I would say apply from India as early as possible. In case it's going to get expired within 6 months, don't take that risk. Apply for the passport in India itself. What are the chances for visa approval with 15 lakhs liquid asset plus loan amount? Well, I am sure 15 lakhs should suffice, but we will have to look at your I-20 to tell you whether it suffices for your course duration. Okay. Do I have personal funds if the university is awarding do I have to need a personal funds if the we would suggest if you're getting a scholarships for the entire duration of the program, which is 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, still carry your personal fund. The reason is the visa officer can definitely ask you that if you don't get a scholarship next year, how are you going to manage? So you can definitely tell them that I have these many funds for the remaining years. So carry it with you as a backup option. They might not ask you, and congratulations that you've got your degree completely funded.
We have an interesting question here. It's saying 2 brothers are going at the same time. What do we tell the visa officer? Well, I would say it depends. One is, are both brothers going to the same university? And are they going for the same course? Or is it 2 different universities, 2 different states? So a lot of that would really determine how you would present the information to a visa officer. Because if it's the same university also, they would question, well, why are two brothers going to the same university at the same time? Are their interests that similar that even after leaving India, they want to be in the same place? Or, you know, or what are the genuine reasons why they have ended up choosing the same university? So that's one angle. The other is if it's different universities, different courses, then you should not have to worry so much. But we would say always be transparent with your information, especially if you are going to the same consulate and your visa interview is around the same time. You just don't want to present false information.
All right, I think the same question again, that I cannot apply for renewal of my passport if the expiry date is not within a year. Can I renew it in the USA? Will I be able to stay in USA until my F1 expires? Passport, well, that's a question that you might have to ask from the US university there, or the consulate, the Indian consulate there. But if you're not able to apply, that's okay. I think you can travel there. Make sure you have the student visa which does not expire, and go ahead. You can definitely go ahead to US and apply from there. But please check from Indian consulate there, as well as check with your university as well. Again, there was a question on the university is not STEM designated. Keep in mind, the university is usually not STEM designated. The program of the university is STEM designated. So if you're applying for a program, do check that your program has to be STEM designated. Now, I have a tourist visa. Can I go to US for 2 months before the course commencement and then begin my course from August? Well, you will have to apply for F1 student visa. We would not suggest you to go 2 months in advance. It is mentioned on the website of US Embassy that the student with F1 student visa cannot go 30 days prior to the course commencement date. Also, please keep in mind, in case you're changing your port of entry, if your relatives are staying in New York and you've got an acceptance from California, you need to have an answer of why are you entering US from New York and not from California. So just be sure that you have the right answer for it. I want to go for a visa interview in June, so I want to deposit 10 lakhs in a brother's account by May. Is it okay? Do it as early as possible. We would just suggest that the funds should be not that you're just depositing it a day prior. Make sure that your funds have been there from past 3 months, 4 months, or 6 months. My passport has my old address. Does it make a difference? No, it doesn't make a difference. Whatever it is, you should have a valid passport. The other question we have, if I have already filled DS-160 and I have a B1, B2 visa, is there anything I should take care of? Do I need to fill a new DS-160? No. If you have a B1, B2 visa, you can always apply for F1 student visa. You don't need to change anything. But wherever it is mentioned that do you have any other visa, you just need to mention that you have B1, B2 visa. So it's absolutely fine. The question by another student, that we have to book a visa appointment May and June, or do I have to apply for May and June for a visa for an interview? You should actually take the interview date in the month of May and June, of course. So basically, starting from April, you should look out for dates once you have the I-20. The other questions that we have. How many years of OPT I will get for international business or an MBA program? Usually an MBA program is not a designated STEM program. Hence, the OPT duration is only 1 year. Well, how frequent can we attempt IELTS? Well, IELTS, you can register from IELTS IDP, and they keep on happening almost every week. Hence, you can register at whatever time and date suits you the best.
And now also there is something called computer delivered IELTS, which is available, which means there are more test dates available in certain cities. So as Yukti mentioned, there's more availability of dates when you can take IELTS exam also.
Okay.
Very good question.
Very good question here, and I think most of the students are asking for it.
Yes. So the question is that some people have heard that the climate route H-1B in the US is a little sticky or negative right now, and should you consider Canada, for example, as another option? What we would say, and what my own personal experience is, that really don't go on what is the current talk around H-1B. Your first step is to ensure that you have your F-1 visa in place. So, for example, even if you're going as a master's student, in the next 2 years, nobody has any idea what is going to happen to the policies around H-1B, for example. And more importantly, with an election coming up soon in the US next year, when there'll be a re-election or an election for a new president, anything and everything can change. So on the current political climate, do not make a decision on your future about what may or may not happen on H-1B. But if you look carefully at the newspapers and media, what is there right now, actually the current administration in the US is quite friendly towards international students and the talented international students who want to stay on and contribute positively under the H-1B visa. So I would say do not really focus on that right now. Focus currently on what is the F-1 student visa policy, what is available or not available under OPT. Because say you go for 2 years right now, then you do a 3-year OPT. So after 5 years, what will or will be the H-1B policy? Nobody can say.
I think another good question asked, does applying to MS in multiple US universities would lead to visa rejection? Absolutely not. I think it is important, and the visa officer also knows that the student apply to at least 5 to 6 universities. So hence, if you have received rejections from US universities and acceptance, you can be very verbal about it, that you have applied to 5 universities, out of which you've received rejection from 1, while the others are accepted. So it's absolutely fine.
And some other questions. One is, can we come back to India after graduation and then go back to the US for OPT?
Well, yes, you need to have a valid visa for it. You can actually go back to come back to India during your vacations, but we would not suggest, probably at the time when you're applying for OPT, you go back. You should actually go back while you're still doing your course, but you can always come back for vacations. And the time between applying for an OPT and completion your course is really less. So I think you should concentrate on getting jobs while you're there during that period of time. Mm-hmm. Can I renew my OPT duration once it expires after 3 years? No. The OPT duration is actually only for 3 years. Then you will have to apply for some other visa to make sure that you are still working in the US. The other question, would applying in Chennai or Mumbai for visa interview affect the chances of getting a visa? Not exactly. If you're nearer to Mumbai, you should go in for a Mumbai consulate. If you're nearer to Chennai, you should go for a Chennai consulate. In case you're changing your consulate, you should make sure that you should justify in terms of why are you changing your consulate. If once OPT is granted, then is it safe to visit India and get back for the job? Well, we would say while you're in OPT, it's advisable that you stay there and work full time, and probably post that, if you're planning to come to India, you're welcome to do that. How can we prove home ties? Do they require any document, or will they conclude verbally? They will conclude verbally. A very good question. Well, they will not look at your documents, as we had discussed it earlier. So basically, the visa, the home ties is usually that you have property, you have your parents here, you have everything here, which suffices that you have some home ties. You're taking a bank loan from India, also says that you have some home ties. So it's only verbal. It's nothing that they would look at your documents, but this is how you can establish home ties. Mm-hmm. Will the visa rejection reason be stated or given specifically? Would that can build on it to apply again, or the rejection reason is given vague? Good question again. The rejection reason is usually vague, but just be careful when you are rejected. I really hope that you're not. But in case you're rejected, they can always say, come back to me with a changed profile, or come back to me with a changed university. Do those things if they tell you to do it. If you feel that there is no specific reason for it, we would say apply again. Don't give up. There has been students who had applied 4 or 5 times and have got through visas. So just make sure to understand what is it that they are saying. Again, during our presentation, we said it's very straightforward and it's very it's based on common sense. So just make sure you have the right reasons of going.
Mm-hmm. So Nipa is asking, can she attend her brother's convocation 3 months before her course starts? So if you have a visitor visa, yes, you can go and attend your brother's convocation and come back, but you cannot use your F1 student visa to go to his convocation and come back, because it would be more than 30 days before your course date would be starting.
Okay, again, a good question. Loan from Prodigy Finance or National Bank in India, which is safe for visa, which is safe for successful visa, either of them, you need to have a good justification of why you're going to US. But from either of the places, it's absolutely safe to go in for a visa.
So I think somebody is asking, if you receive a admission decision by end of April, will it affect your chances of getting a visa interview date? Not necessarily, but because May and June is typically the time when maximum students go for their visa interviews. And it also depends which consulate you would be applying for, because some are busier than others. So at the time when you go online to schedule your visa interview, you can keep on checking the dates and times there. Yeah. And then if you happen to find a date that opens up earlier, you can always change your visa interview date also.
Yeah, I think we have one more question from the student, that do IDP provide the visa sessions? Yes, you can go onto our website, which is there on the slide, and click onto it. We have offices around India. You can select, and we do have visa sessions. Another very interesting question I could see, does stock and bonds from Google and Apple could be considered for a visa interview as finances? No, stocks and bonds are not considered for visa interview. They are not liquid assets, they are immovable assets. So hence, they are not considered as a liquid asset. Is land home evaluation necessary for appearing for visa interview? If yes, how and when to get my family land and home evaluated? Aditya, good question. See, if you have enough funds for the entire duration of the program, then you don't need land and home evaluation. But in case you feel that you just have liquid assets for 1 year, and the second year or the third year you're not able to justify funds, then probably yes, you would need land and home evaluation. Should anyone attend visa interview in a formal attire? No. Yes, you have to be professional. You can wear a shirt which does not have anything written on it. Hide your tattoos. That's very important. Make sure your hair are back and not that spiky look. So please make sure, yes, it's a formal interview, but it's not an interview where you have to carry your blazer or your coat. So just make sure that you look like a good student and answer the questions correctly.
Yeah, and there's a question asking if the services provided by IDP are free or paid. So there's a small sign-up fee that is there, which helps facilitate the time a counsel will spend with you over 6 to 8 months, and for any career documents and other things that are there, including the editing services that are included as part of the admission packages. And so you can definitely connect with us on this toll-free number, and you would be connected to the branch office that is closest to where you are currently residing, and they can definitely give you more information there.
All right. The other question that we have, my course starts in June, and I'm waiting for other universities which start in August. I will have go to the interview on April. what happens with the 30 days visa allowance if I change my college, and how can I show I-20 in April if my decision is not out yet? Well, you will have to apply for your visa when you have your I-20. That's clearly there. If you don't have your I-20, you would not be able to apply for your visa. But Aditi, I'm still not able to understand your question well. I think you can speak to our IDP counselor. They'll be able to help you and probably would understand the question well.
Okay, I think we have time to take one more question. We're just scrolling here to find one beneficial for everyone. I think somebody was asking generally about housing and living expenses in the US also, because obviously that is a factor in decision making. So Yukti, what would you say about housing? Should they apply for it before they reach the US? What's the general cost of housing also?
It is important, Dharma, actually to apply for housing before you enter United States. You need to know you need to know where is it that you plan to stay in the US. Hence, just make sure your housing is there. Usually housing or living and board cost is mentioned on the I-20, which varies from 8,000 to about 15,000 US dollars. Now, I think we have last question. I have provisional admit since I'm switching courses, and I'm wondering if 5-year visa would be given. If given, or less number of years, like 3 and 4-year visa would be given. Well, the F1 student visa is usually 5 years. And if you're switching the course, again, it wouldn't matter, because it would be, once you have the visa, it would be for 5 years only. So the F1 student visa is only 5 years. Assuming that my OPT duration is about to end, what should I apply for a new visa? It depends upon your employer. The employer would be the one who would be applying for a visa. Last question, can we earn through part-time, and also can we work when we start our college? Yes, a very good question. Undergraduate students are eligible for scholarships, and graduate students are also eligible for scholarships in the US. I think the best suggestion was given to us by an alumni, which says that once you enter the US, just float your resume to all the departments. There will be some kind of assistantships which are given to international students. So assistantships are really good. Just make sure you have good finances, and just make sure you have good profile, good GRE and IELTS, which can help you fetch good financial assistance.
We'll end with one undergraduate question, and it's asking if 4th year second semester results are required before going for the visa.
Not exactly. In fact, if your 4th year second semester result is not out, that's absolutely fine. But I'm hoping that you do not have your backlogs in your previous years. In case you have it, then we would suggest that wait for 4th year to complete and get the semester result. In case you're academically very sound, have a GPA of about 3.2 or 3.5, then you're good to go.
So we are going to close today's webinar, but please don't worry. You can connect with IDP and us further on the information that is detailed here. We thank you so much, all of you, for your time tonight, and for giving Yukti and I this opportunity through IDP Education. And we wish all of you a lot of best wishes and good luck through your admissions and visa process. Thank you.